My acceptance of the DA's nomination is a declaration for change. Change for a better future. For all the people of Ekurhuleni. But we cannot speak about the future of Ekurhuleni without reflecting on the past, and my own past in particular. It has been 121 years since the arrival of Mahatma Gandhi in South Africa. His arrival and campaigns against discrimination triggered my family's history for fighting against injustice a century ago. In many ways, those early struggles which gave rise to the Transvaal and the Tel Indian Congresses were early bedfellows and even forerunners of the ANC. It has been 104 years since the political party I was born into, the ANC, was founded. During this time, we as a nation have fought and triumphed over evil. We found each other as South Africans. No matter how different we thought we were, we forgave each other our trespasses. From the ashes of apartheid, we forged a new country based on human dignity, equality, and freedom for all. I grew up in a family forged in the struggle against injustice. My grandfathers, Ibrahim Aspat and Ghaleb Cachalia, campaigned with Mahatma Gandhi against injustice. My father, Yusuf Cachalia, served as Secretary General of the South African Indian Congress. He was arrested and tried by the apartheid government for civil disobedience and served a number of cells in prison and detention. He was sentenced for his part in the Defiance Campaign in 1952, along with Mandela, Sisulu, Kathrada, and J.B. Marx. He was banned and lived under house arrest for a cumulative total of 27 years. As a consequence, I spent many years in involuntary exile. My mother, Amina Cachalia, marched alongside women of all races here in Germiston in 1952 as part of the Defiance Campaign. She and her comrades were arrested and held in a prison in Boksburg. She too was one of the leaders of the 1956 Women's March on the Union Building, the very occasion we celebrate today as Women's Day. I often remark that I was the only man on the march, my mother being pregnant with me. That anecdote aside, I can say with pride that she and my father were icons of our struggle for freedom. And so the confluence of the present and the past. I have roots here. My family, on my father's side, gave all their lives for the struggle and were raised in Actonville, down the road. On my mother's side, there are many who have lived here for many generations and still do in Springs. My children's maternal great-grandfather was a miner at Simmer and Jack, and now I stand before you as your prospective choice for mayor.
Yes.
One thing I have learned from my family and their lifelong activism was that even in the face of the worst injustice, we must never stop imagining what sort of country we can become.
Yes.
What sort of society we want to live in.
Yes.
These values that I learned from my family have guided me throughout my life. I value non-racialism and reconciliation. I value the idea that a child born in Tembisa must have the same opportunities as a child born in Bedfordview.
Yes.
I value the rule of law and human rights. I value human dignity. I value the idea that the government works for the people and not the other way around. Throughout my life, I believed that the ANC embodied these values. The ANC was more than a party to me. It was my extended family. It was my home. It was where I forged lifelong friendships. It was where I placed my faith in a better South Africa for all. It was the party that rewarded my faith and enshrined my values when Nelson Mandela signed our constitution into law in 1996. It was the movement that then embodied the hope and aspirations of the people of our country. It was the movement that led us to believe that we could achieve greatness. It gave us all hope. It gave me hope. But sadly, after 22 years of ANC government, and I don't say this lightly, we have been betrayed. Yeah. We have watched our values being reduced to rhetoric. We have watched our painful history being used as a tool to divide South Africans, to cover up for the failures of government. We have seen a corrupt elite group use the power of state to benefit only themselves and their families. We have seen unemployment rise, and we have seen too many of our fellow citizens trapped in poverty. As we stand here today, we are the second most unequal city in the world. Think of that. Ekurhuleni used to be called Africa's workshop. But after years of mismanagement, it is deindustrializing. Over the last decade, about 250,000 jobs have been lost. Without these losses, the unemployment rate would have halved from 30% to 15%. It hasn't. A city should be the beacon of hope and opportunity. It remains divided. Nearly 24% of households in the city do not live in formal dwellings. Over 40% of the people in the city do not have a tap in their own home. 15% of the people in the city do not have a flush toilet. And almost 20% have no electricity for lighting, never mind cooking. I stand here today, not because I'm leaving the ANC, but because the ANC has left me. It left me and millions of South Africans when it chose one man over the rule of law. It left me and millions of South Africans when it chose to protect that one man in Parliament. It left me and millions of South Africans when it betrayed the values of our Constitution.
Yes.
The time has come for us once again to find our hope and aspiration. We need to realize that as a nation, we can be what we choose to be. We don't have to continue down this path. We can forge a new way forward. That is why I stand with the DA and will be campaigning as mayoral candidate to usher in an era of DA government in Ekurhuleni.
Yes.
The DA offers us a new path where freedom, fairness and opportunity are the values on which we make government work for the people. These are not light words. Freedom, fairness and opportunity. The DA offers us a chance to make our city a city of jobs and opportunity. I'm not standing with the DA today because I'm angry. I'm standing with the DA because I'm hopeful of a DA government that will deliver a better tomorrow. The time has come for change, and the DA is that vehicle to deliver that change. Of that, I'm absolutely convinced. To cement the path that I am now treading with the DA, I attended the 10,000 strong march to the Constitutional Court last Friday. It was a momentous moment for me as I stood and listened to Musi Mayane speak in defense of our Constitution and lambaste the ANC for the disservice they had done to our constitutional democracy. I was reminded then of the time when I visited my father in prison at the fort on that very site. I looked at the palm trees and recalled how he used to collect the date pips and how he fashioned those into a necklace for my mother as a poignant reminder of their bonds and struggle. I also recall being at the ANC celebration of victory in 1994 at the Carlton Hotel with my parents, Nelson Mandela, Walter Sisulu and others. We were energized by the prospect of a challenging project to deliver unto South Africans the fruits of freedom. Sadly, a score and more years later, that project has gone awry, massively so. Currently, we have people living in Lindelani and Barcelona near Davidson who depend on sporadic delivery of water by water tankers. This is wrong. We have seen Ferrero Rocher and Heineken being barred from investing and creating jobs in the city because of incompetence. This is wrong. We have seen a city manager illegally appointed to the city administration and the ANC administration ignoring the court order to correct this. This too is wrong.
Yes.
When your city is corrupt, you cannot provide opportunities. But when you give people real opportunity, we meaningfully undo the legacy of apartheid. And to achieve this, it demands that your vote be cast for the DA government in Ekurhuleni. Because it is your local government that lays the foundation for your opportunity.